Day out with a little tip here for everybody. My tip of the day today is don't upset your hairdresser before you get your hair cut. Because I've come this morning with an extremely short hairdo. I made the mistake of upsetting my hairdresser just prior to my haircut appointment. And so when you have your wife with the clippers, just make a note to yourself. Let's start this disagreement later, right? So, glad to be here with you guys this morning. We are talking about pint-sized heroes and about some of the successes and hopefully give you guys some things to motivate you, or maybe even just remind you of some of the things that you knew before, or remind you of something that you tried in the past that you haven't tried in a while, or whatever. We're going to start with a little brainstorming session this morning, just to kind of get some juices flowing and get some of your ideas going this morning too. And I'd like to, if I could, have a volunteer to just kind of make some notes of some of the things that come out. Do we have a volunteer reporter this morning? Somebody that would report
the video?
Okay. Right here. Good, sure. All right. If you would just report some of the responses that everybody has, because what I want to do at the end of the day is make sure that we've gone back and covered everything that we're talking about here in the beginning, to make sure that we're kind of wrapping everything up and keeping everything relevant for what you guys are going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. So my first question is, what are the major reasons that the Pint-Sized Hero program, see if we can get this thing going here. Well, it shut down on me, Dean. It's not doing anything. There you go. Ooh. I was going the wrong way. What are the major reasons that the Pint-Sized Hero drives have not had more success in your area? What do you guys think about that?
Never done that.
You've never done, okay?
Yeah, to preface it, we've got, Shay's been with us the longest at 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And next longest is Carrie or Andrea, just right at 2 years-ish. So,
Okay,
and then Brian for a little while.
6 years.
6 years.
no problem. Why do you think they haven't worked more in the past? Somebody else share some ideas with us here.
My area, I'm in a very poor rural area,
Okay,
and I feel like most of the parents aren't very supportive in a couple of the schools I've tried it in.
okay.
The kids
So
will
not
be
as supportive of
excited.
parents?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Somebody else? Any other reasons that you think they haven't been more successful in your area?
Not as much engagement from the leadership at the school.
Okay. Not good leadership engagement, all right?
Buy-in.
Absolutely, buy-in is essential to this. Anybody else? Okay. What are the top 3 to 4 ingredients that you think are needed to have a successful Pint-Sized Hero program?
Sponsor support,
Sponsor support, okay.
parental support,
Parental support,
Appointments before the day of the drive.
appointments before the day of the drive,
Probably excitement from the students.
all right. Excitement from students,
Carrying out the actual program, don't halfway do the program, make sure that educational element is all in there and the teachers are actually doing that kind of thing, so.
okay. Good, all good responses, and hopefully we'll cover each one of those. Again, the reason I'm asking you for your input now is because I want to know what your perspective is. What is your feeling of either why they haven't worked, why we haven't tried them more, or why are we sitting in this room today hearing about this? What's important about this? What can this mean for me? Because if I come and do a presentation and it doesn't end up in any results for you guys, then it's really a waste of all of our time. That's why I'm here today, because I want to share some information that you guys can use that will benefit from you in your territory. Sorry, I keep flicking that thing the wrong way. My introduction today is that as I began doing these presentations, these projects, I felt like it's really important to be considered a credible source. I'm going to have to move this chair because I keep bumping into it. For you guys to gain anything from this, then I have to establish that I'm a credible source. But I also have to establish the fact that I'm not cocky. And sometimes I'm very confident in myself, and sometimes I get in trouble because I seem prideful, and I don't want to do that. The only benefit that I'm getting today is for you guys to benefit from this. And I have heard the term used, and some of you guys that have been around a little while, maybe you have heard the term used, subject matter expert. And sometimes I've kind of struggled with that term because if I was a subject matter expert, then I would probably have a really big title and a really big salary, right? If I was a subject matter expert on anything, for that matter. Donor recruitment is a tough business because it's difficult to figure out what the subject matter expert really needs to know, right? Because one day it seems to work and the next day it doesn't. So I want to try to establish with you guys some credibility today because, again, if my information goes on deaf ears, then we've just wasted our time, and I want it to be beneficial for you guys. I want you to take something away from today that you think, hey, that's relevant, I can use that. Just as far as a little bit of a background for you guys, I have over 18 years of donor recruitment experience. I've had a lot of successes over the years. I've had a lot of failures. I've done the same thing twice and had very different results, as we all have. Okay, so I'm trying to come to you guys from a point of I've been out there and I've worked these programs and I continue to do that. And the sustainability of these programs is one of the vital pieces of this, and I think you'll see that through the presentation today. That if you go out and have a successful blood drive, that's great, but long term you want a successful program that's going to last. And if you take the time and invest the energy into it up front, and then you feel like it really wasn't worth your while, then you're not ever going to do that again. But if you invest the time and energy and you set it up, and is it Johnny?
Yeah.
As Johnny was saying, do it correctly, get them to execute it correctly, then hopefully you've planted that seed that's going to grow and it's going to produce for you long-term results. And you'll see that here in a second. I've got some examples of that. I keep flipping that the wrong way, down. Okay, let's talk about Girl Scout cookies. How many of you like Girl Scout cookies? Throw your hand up in the air. Come on, you can be honest. We're among friends here. Okay, so if you like them, that means you bought them, right? Okay. Why are Girl Scout cookie sales successful? Somebody help me out here, the quiet side of the table. Why are they successful?
Cookies.
They're great cookies, okay? Somebody else, why are they successful in their
Although
sales?
they don't make a whole lot of money for them, it is a great cause,
Okay, it's a great cause,
which is
all right?
what we should tie into American Red Cross. So
All right,
I
somebody
kinda-
else.
I kinda already know what I'm gonna get, like I can right now know which ones I would buy, I already know which ones I would buy.
Okay,
I
so
know
you
what-
know the
what
Samoas are gonna be
product-
Samoas, right?
Consistency.
Okay, anybody else?
It's
Consistency,
only
yes.
one time a year that they sell them, right?
Okay,
So
so one
I
time a
feel like I
year
have to buy
deal?
them because it's the
Okay,
only time we're selling them.
'Cause you don't
anybody
wanna-
else?
You don't wanna let the little
Y'all are
kid
missing
down.
out on the number one answer.
The
What'd you
little
say?
kid. You don't wanna let the little kid down.
Okay. Those cute little kids, right? Those little girls come up to you and they got their little brown outfit on. You're not gonna say no to that, are you? I'm not, I can't, right?
It's usually the moms that are beating us
Yeah.
over the head to buy.
Well, that's a whole nother subject. Right?
Well, now it's on Facebook. Who wants Girl Scout cookies for my kid? You don't really see the kid anymore. I don't. I haven't the last
We
few
got you.
years.
You're right.
Yeah.
It is
You
a
do at
kid.
Walmart.
Historically, though, it's the kids,
Sitting in
okay?
front.
The cookies taste good. Somebody got answer number 2. And repeat business, right? If you bought from little Emily last year, and if she's a serious cookie salesperson, I guarantee you that you are on her list for this year, right? That's how it works. Now, we see them set up out in front of Walmart, and they've got 1,000 cookies out there, and they're gonna sell them all. But the ones that are hardcore serious, they also follow up and do repeat business. And what I wanted to do is connect that with the Pint Size Hero program. The kids are the recruiters. Somebody said getting the kids excited is one of the keys. That is a huge key because the kids going home and motivating mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, that is a key. It's a huge key to this. The community service is good. Again, connecting to the fact that the cookies are good. Community service is a good thing. So that gives us kind of a product that we can sell, if you will, when we're going into these schools.
Okay.
And talking to their senior leadership and trying to get them on board with what we're wanting to do. And then, sorry guys, I keep messing it up. The blood drive becomes a tradition. That's what we talked about just a little bit before. Like you said, Girl Scout cookies sales come around once a year. If you want to set your blood program up in the Pint-Sized Hero realm as once a year or twice a year, whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But the fact that it becomes just something that they do every year is vital to your long-term success. And that's been a vital part of what I've been able to establish in my territory. Because it's just like jump rope for heart and the diabetes walk and all the other things. We just roll in there every year with the expectation that they're going to do a blood drive again. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but it does work most of the time when you've taken the time to build those established relationships and get things set in order with them.
Do your most successful ones, are they one time a year? Or do you?
Yes, they are. Most of my successful drives are one-time-a-year drives, yes. Okay, so what type of success is possible? Again, part of my challenge to you guys up front, because you don't know me from Steve or George or Anthony, whichever alias I choose to use today. We were just teasing about the fact that I was going to be on video, so I was going to call myself a different name so that they wouldn't be able to really find out who I was. Part of establishing credibility is being able to show you guys some results, because I want you guys to think big on this. I think across the board, one of the biggest mistakes that account managers have made is they haven't realized the true potential, or they maybe haven't seen that play out. You said that you tried a couple and they just hadn't panned out very well, and that is reality. Not every one that I have is a success, and certainly some of the schools are more involved than others. But showing you guys what some of the success possibilities are is really important, so I wanted to do that today. The McCracken County school system is probably the foundational point of my success as far as especially how my territory exists right now. There's some other counties that I'd covered in the past that we'd established programs with, but McCracken has been really one of the strongest counties, and I want to show you just some of the results. And I'm going to kind of run through this quickly. You're going to see a lot of numbers, but again, I want to just kind of re-emphasize and re-establish that this is not just, I'm not just up here talking about one school that's done a great job. Okay, I want to show you multiple examples. The Farley Elementary School hosted a blood drive for 8 years. That school has been closed the last couple of years ago. They collected 383 units for a 3-drive average of 35. The other thing I want to emphasize to you guys too is I took the 3-drive average, and you see a lot of these are 8-year, 6-year, 10-year terms. Like any other thing, my Pint-Sized Hero average has gone down a little bit. There's a couple different factors for that I'll talk to you about. But I didn't just give you the high point, okay? I've given you the last 3 years. This particular school is an example that they have collected as high as 45, 50 units. I think even they had a 52, 55 one time. Heath Elementary, 10 years hosting, 601 collected, 54 as an average. Hendron Lone Oak Elementary, 11 years, 717 units collected, 40 as an average. I believe this is your alma mater, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, have a moment of silence for Robert's alma mater. Lone Oak Elementary, one of my favorite schools, as you can probably tell from the board. Have I gotten anybody's attention yet? Does anybody get excited about numbers like
That's all from the same county.
this? These are all in the same county.
How
11
big are
years, 11 years hosting, 845 units collected for an average of 80. Lone Oak Intermediate. Now here's what happened 3 or 4 years ago. The county schools decided to take 4th and 5th and pull them out and form intermediate schools. Okay, so our elementary went from K through 5 to K through 3, and then intermediates 4 and 5. Okay, so guess what happened to the average elementary school blood drive? The collections went down because the numbers of students that were there went down some. Look at Lone Oak Elementary, didn't miss a beat. They went down 150 to 200 students, I'd say. They didn't miss a beat because I've got gold level BDCs at this school. Okay, so Lone Oak Intermediate comes into the picture. They've hosted the blood drive 4 years, 161 collected, 40 as an average. Reedland Elementary, 10 years, 522 units collected. They're one of the schools that I have seen a significant drop, and I've not been able to kind of reconnect that loss, if you will. This school was averaging in the 50 to 55 range before their 4th and 5th grade level students were pulled out. And so they have seen it kind of a dip, and I've not been able to kind of reestablish that. But honestly, I get pretty excited about a 3 drive average of 36 compared to what a lot of my other drives do, if you guys are in the same boat that I'm in. Reedland Intermediate, we've had 2 drives there for an average of 21. Again, their averages have been down a little bit. The intermediates haven't quite produced at the level that the elementary schools have. So there's a total of 3,272 units of blood that I've collected in those 7 schools. Okay? Now I threw this in also just to kind of give you guys a glimpse again, because this is where the relationship connections begin to come into play. Because a couple years back, one of my assistant principals at one of the schools, he had been at one of the elementary schools and he had moved to the middle school, but he came to me and said, hey, let's do something bigger and better in the middle school realm. So again, the same school system, McCracken County Schools, we established a new middle school program. I don't know about you guys, but my experience has been that the middle schoolers are much harder to motivate. Those schools are much, much more difficult to get to have a really successful blood drive. But you see in the last 2 years, we've had 3 schools here averaging 41, 55, and 33 for a total of 260 units. Our grand total for this county, not including their high school program, has been 3,532 units over this time period that we're looking at. Now I want to show you a few other success stories, and again, I want to make sure I'm telling you up front, this is not my entire list of pint-sized hero drives. I have some duds too, okay? I have some that don't do well. I have some that collect well one year and then fall the next year, just like everybody else does. But I did want to show you guys again that there's a multitude of different successful stories that I can share with you guys so that you recognize there's some validity behind the information that I'm sharing. New Simpson Hill, sorry guys. New Simpson Hill's been hosting for 6 years with an average of 35. South Livingston, they are one of the schools that has had 2 blood drives a year. Their average is 29. Vienna Grade School has hosted for 9 years, averaging 40. That's a total of 1,035 more units. So over this time frame of the last 9-10 years, these 13 pint-sized hero schools and these future blood donor schools that I've mentioned to you there, that's 4,500 units in that time frame. Prospecting and planning, that's kind of where it starts, guys. To really get to where we want to be, we want to have a good game plan to start with, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little breakout session here, and we'll have Team 1, Team 2, and Team 3, okay? If you guys just take just a few minutes, circle up, share some ideas, some thoughts. What are your best ideas about prospecting for new pint-sized hero drives, okay? We're just going to take 10 to 15 minutes. If you guys, Team 1, Team 2, and Team 3 right here. Just circle up and share some ideas and some information with each other.